Hi guys, RaichuPlays here. So we're back in at the Arctic Mini Zoo. Still a working title for this zoo. I'm not sure what to actually call the zoo just yet. I was thinking of the Arctic Mini Adventure Zoo or something along them lines. So in the last two episodes, I started up on how to actually start up a kind of franchise zoo. So we built the raccoons, we did all the staff facilities, we did a couple of shops, and then sadly in the second episode the actual build footage was lost. So what I did was I just did more of like a run through just on where we were and what we did to get all the scenery in place. So in today's episode we're taking up to this area here. So I've got a rough idea of the animal that I want to do. So if we just load up, so we're just gonna select the tundra and taiga. So I want to use a couple of the newer packs, and the one that I want to build for is the Takin. So I've not actually built for these just yet. They don't have interspecies enrichment, so that's fine. So let's just check a couple of bits. So we can have one male up to 19 females. So we're going to get them now just while we're thinking about it. Okay, so straight off, 35 conservation credits, that is fine, we'll take that. And then let's just check all the females. So these are all from Tier Zoo, so these are okay. So 67% fertility, we'll take that. That one we're not gonna risk. This one we can take, 'cause it's the fertility is not too bad, but it's not the worst, so we'll take it anyway. This same again, we'll take that one, and we will take that one because that one's pretty good. And if we just refresh, so it's just that one, that's fine. So if we just pop in, so we've got all the ones that we're going to have here. Cool. There we go. So they're the ones that we're going to have, and then we're going to build their house and their enclosure here. So I've kind of already mapped out what I want to do. So I'm thinking having it lowered here, so doing a bit of terrain work across here. So what we'll do is we'll just use the terrain stamp tool. As always, I'm going to use the slanted one, which is this one. I'm going to change the height to 8 meters, I think. Then I'm just going to flip it around, and then I'm going to use the advanced move tool. So I'm just going to see how close I can actually get that to the path. So it's going to be looking about there, so that's fine. We should, yeah, we can make that wider, that's fine. So just to make our life a little bit easier, so let's just head all the way across. So I want this to be kind of like an enclosure where there's no barriers in front of the guests, if that makes sense. So I kind of want them to be able to stand here, and the Takins will be at eye level, and then they've got this kind of like natural moat popping off down here, which is pretty cool. So let me just check as well, because I'm not sure on the size. Like I say, I've not built for these before. So we had, how many did we have? Okay, so we've got 5. So if we just put 5 adults in here, so they don't require a lot of space, to be quite honest. All of this here will probably come up to 1,300, I guess. We'll see how close I get to that. Let's just pop the null barrier in and just see how far we get. Okay, so again, using the trick that I learned, so using the plus and minus to extend or subtract the null barriers. So I'm just going to go around where I've kind of already set this out, just so I've got more of a visual guide. What I'll do as well is I will just put the angle snap on as well. So it's just so easy just to kind of whiz around and kind of do all this. Because before I was having to click back in and click back out and stuff, but so glad somebody told me about this because it is a game changer. So probably going to go into about there, I think. And then we'll just extend all the way out. Or actually, let's do it more of a slant, and we'll turn off the angle snap here, I think. I just want it to kind of hug this area here, and then what I want it to do as well is just kind of run parallel to the path across here until we meet. Should be able to snap in there, that's fine. Okay, so planning, I kind of want to have the actual building where the animals will stay here, Then I want quite a lot of like staff facilities and stuff at the back here, and possibly like a little separation area. So let's just get a habitat gate in. So let's just see how close we were with the guesstimate before. Okay, so I was very far over, so that's 3,000, or just over 3,000. So yeah, it was quite far over that, but it's not too bad. So let's get into the building. So I want to use a couple of the Europe wall pieces that I've seen. So these ones here. So I want to use these for the hard shelter, because obviously we are in a tundra environment. So I'm going to actually snap these here because I want them to be thingy, and then we can build around this door as well. That actually works perfectly as well. That's quite a good placement. So let's go around to potentially there. Actually, we'll go back one here. Okay, so sticking onto the inside of the grid, so we'll have one bit there where they can come out, and then we'll just kind of bridge that off up here. Then I'll make this go up here as well. So just trying to stick to this this kind of little plan that I've made. And what I do need to do as well is I need to highlight nearby barriers on. Okay, so we've kind of stick to where I wanted to go anyway, so that's not too bad. Like I say, it was just a very rough guide. Okay, and then here, what I can do is I can add a door frame, and then if needs be, I can just kind of move it, and obviously it's a little bit out of place at the minute. So let's get that moved in, because we should be able to kind of snap that there. I think that's fine. And then what we're also going to do is just move these bits out and move these bits out as well. Them bits. Just move that into the corner. Ooh. And then I'll also move that bit into the corner as well. Keep sticking for some reason. I'm not sure why that's happening, but it should be fine. It's not the end of the world. Okay, so I really want to use some custom barriers. So I'm thinking if we do this bit here as kind of like a separation pen down here, just in case we need it. I'll have a little gate here so they can still access in the meantime, but in reality they probably only need this much space compared to the enclosure as a whole. So we should be okay on that front. But let me just pop that. That's fine. Okay, so back to the construction. So I'm just going to enter this group again, and I'm going to duplicate these pieces here, and then I'm probably going to go from there and just kind of carry that around just up here. So I might have to pull this bit of barrier out, but it's not too bad. And then I'm just going to duplicate these bits, and then I'm thinking from here onwards. So this is going to be where the keeper can get in and out, and then we're going to have some kind of keeper access up here. What I will probably do as well is I will probably move the barriers. So let me just do that whilst I'm thinking. So I'm thinking if we go to there, we can delete that bit, delete that bit, delete that bit, and delete that one. And then we can just fix it up to probably about there actually. And then if we fix this one as well, so we just want it as close as possible. And then if we just use the subtract on the keyboard just to bring that back to about there, it should be pretty smack bang. So if we just extend that out, so as far as we can go. So we're going to set it to about there, and from here obviously we can amend and edit as needed. So I'm just going to copy and paste this again. So Control D to duplicate that, and then for the barriers I'm just going to pop the gate in about there. Okay, and then in here, so I kind of want to have like potentially a quarantine. So I'm thinking because we've got a little hub here, potentially have another hub here, like have a animal trade center here and a quarantine, so we can use this as like a centralized area. So if we just add those into the group as well now while we're thinking about it. So staff facilities, blueprints off, and then let's find the animal trade center. So we can pop that one there, and then we can put a small quarantine in here. And then just for now I can delete out the path, and then I could potentially have a couple more facilities in here actually. So let's just hop into the group again just so we can keep them all. So in here I could add a keeper's hut, so I could have one there, and then have I got space to add a staff room? Yes I do. So I can do that, and I could potentially also add, let's add another keeper's hut just to keep it on the good side. We'll do it like that. And then what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to align to this grid as a whole. So when we do this, it should hopefully automatically snap into everything. If not, I can just come back and do that. So if we hop out, we can pop that down to 4, and we should just be able to hover over, snap all those in. That one's in. This one's not in. Why is that not playing ball? There we go. And then we can just attach it all like that. So that's the inside of the whole area done. So what this will require as well, we might just need to add the window pieces for this. So just so we haven't got those bits sticking out. So we're going to use these. So these are actually the shop fronts, but they work for the window pieces as well. Obviously I presume that's just like a standardized item. So we've got this window here, so they can look into the pen as well, which is cool. Okay, so far that looks pretty cool. And then to stick with the theme, so how we've got it here, so we've got this kind of corrugated iron. I want to do that again here. So I want to keep to the theme. Obviously we've got the foundation down now, so that's fine. So if we just type in iron, and then if we do a 2 meter for now, we should already have the colour on here from last time. I think that matches, but let me hop over and just check. Yep, that matches. So it's like that army green. And what I can do is I can just sync that one. Let's get rid of that. So I can just fill the walls in, just like this. I can come all the way down. So I want to keep it on the inside, and then same again. And then I'm just going to use the M tool to move that, and then duplicate all these back around as well. So the back of these ones don't actually have windows, so we can just close them straight off. Just to tie the whole building in, I'm just going to move these out. I know it sits a little bit oddly on the grid, but it's not too bad. Because if they sit like that, there's going to be a gap overhanging. So I'll do the same around here as well. I want to add some skylights as well in here because I think that would look pretty cool. Okay, so that's what I'm thinking for the off-show area. And obviously the more Takins we get as well, we can put more in because we've got plenty of space. So I think for that so far is pretty good. And then what I want to do in here, I'm going to use the smaller pieces. So European pieces, and I want to be using the 1 meter high ones. So I'm thinking if we can just, I don't know what's going on now, why is that not? Okay, the grid's gone a little bit funny, let's try that again. What I'm I'm just going to heart these as well, because I'll probably use these quite a lot. Heart that one. We'll heart these. I'm just going to try and heart all the ones that I think I'm going to use the most. Okay, that's back to normal, that's fine. So I was thinking, just kind of making like these little segregation pens. Probably not that far out actually. Probably if we do one, we'll do 3 there. 1, 2, and possibly leave this bit empty. And then same again on this side. Just want to make sure it matches the opposite side as well. And I'll just move, that one should be fine actually. And then keeping it like that. So we've got these kind of like this little stable vibe, which I think is pretty cool. And I want to do a wooden flooring in here. So I'm just going to see what wood flooring would be best. So I quite like that one. That one's pretty cool. We'll probably stick with that, to be quite honest. So we'll see how. So probably not going to be able to get that one. That's fine. I can make that work. So I want it to be as low as possible. So we want it about there. But this is going to be a separate group, because the grid that we've got it on at the moment, it's not going to allow us to actually put that all the way down if needed. So we'll just go around the whole building. I've tried to align it up to the existing grid as best as possible. We're not going to be able to snap it on, but it's not the end of the world. I might also do out here as well, just to add like a bit of like a path cover. I think that looks pretty cool. So keeping it the same all the way through. And then I might also extend out, maybe just 2 actually. Extend 2 out here, and then possibly 2 out here as well. So remembering obviously this is going to be inferior separation part. So I'm just going to keep that like that for now. And then what I want to do is use the mesh pieces. So I like these ones. You can also use these ones. Let me just see which ones would look better inside. So if we just change to black, and the wire colour to black as well. And I want to align to surface and make sure random rotation is off. Make sure angle snap is on as well, just so we get the right angle. Okay, so I think that's pretty much in the middle. I think if we go too far through, it's going to pop out the other end. But it's not the end of the world. Because like I said, this is only an offstage area. The only place we're going to have problems is here. So we might have to rethink and potentially use the 2 meter ones. So let's have a play around with all the different options. Yeah, so we could use that one. Could use that like that. Ideally I'd probably want it about there. So I don't want it too high. So let's go with that. And then it's just a case of literally just copy and pasting over. And just making sure that it is in the middle as best as possible. Fine. And then the same on this side. So we should be able to tuck it in as best as possible. So if we go to about there, so that should be the absolute limit. And then the same again, duplicating halfway through this piece. So there. So we're going to try and get this as close as possible. Obviously some points it's not going to be as close as I would like it. Let's pop that about there, that should be fine. Okay, so they're the little kind of segregators that we've got so far. So they're pretty cool, I like those. And then what I wanted to do, just to add kind of like the feel of it having this kind of gate that can slide backwards and forwards. I'm going to pop that on this side actually. So I'll just want to add the gate there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the gutter piece. So this is something I have seen Sparrow doing in her builds, is using this gutter piece and just sinking it into the ground to make it look like there is like a runner here. So again, this just adds that extra little bit of detail what we need in the zoo. So if we take it, start it at the back here actually, because we don't want it to feel like it's gonna pop off its grid or something. That bit in place. Okay, and then the same across. So then from here we should, in theory, only go out an extra 2. And then we'll just take that right up to the wall, just like that. So obviously I know it's not real, but this would kind of shut like that. So you can segregate them. But we're going to leave it open, and then if needed, if we do have breeding programs or something at the zoo, we can just open and close the gate. So we're going to leave that, I'm going to pop that there actually, because what I also want to do is use the metal beams and just create almost like a track or something. So if we just rotate that onto its side, then I should be able to hire that up. And then I want to sink that in as much as possible. And I want one just a little bit higher up as well, possibly there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do on this bit is I'm just going to select the gutter in, because I have a little idea. I'm just going to move that out very, very slightly, just so it's not sticking through, I think, about there. Just so it looks like it's actually on the track, not off it. So if we, in theory, just move that up, it should look like it's on a track. So just the little bits detailing wise. Like I say, I don't usually go too into the indoor areas, but I think it's cool just to add a few little bits and stuff. So what I want to do as well is I want to add. Okay, so I should have done that grid separately actually, but it's not the end of the world, it's completely fine. I can just copy and paste straight over, just have to click into this grid, Control X, and then just sync it back. So same again, I'm going to go onto this side of the wall and just get it as close as I can. And I think that's pretty perfect actually. And then same again. And also we're just kind of future-proofing the enclosure as well, in case we do have quite a lot of offspring with the Takin or Takin, I'm not sure how you say it. We'll go with Takin for now. Then same again in the middle. Okay, so there all the separation pens sorted. So let me just see if I can actually add all that into a group. No, I can't, that's fine. So it's probably because I've obviously got the floor in and the building separate, but it's not too bad, it's completely fine. What I could also do here, just to make life a little bit easier for myself when I'm making the roof, I'll do this just in the places where we need it. So just make sure all of those are covered, just like that. Then we could advance move, just kind of lift that up like that. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to split that group. And I'm not going to do that because it split the whole thing. I'm just going to do the roof manually actually, to be fair. It's going to be easier to do it that way. I'm just going to get rid of these little bits of grass because I don't want them inside. We want them on the outside of the enclosure. So I think there will be fine. Okay, so now let's focus on the custom fencing that I want to do. So I want to keep it very simple, just to kind of here, and then I'm going to close this bit off here with rocks and a little bit of foliage. So if we go into the construction tab, so I'm going to have a look through the wood, so I know which beam of wood that I want to use. I'm thinking the Arctic beams. So if we just pop that one down for now, and then from here I'm going to do Control X just while I select my next piece, and then I'm going to go into the rope tab. So let's type in ropes, and I'm just going to select one that I would want to use. So I'm thinking if we go for something potentially like that. So it's just going to take a little bit of, tiny little bit of moving around and getting into place. But if we head to about there, so I think if we do that, and then if we do, we should have a 4 meter straight as well, like that, and then like that, and like that. I think that works quite well. Let me just add all that into a group. So let's just merge it into the scenery group and just see what it looks like when it's in place. Yeah, that works. That's how I kind of want it, so that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to freehand the majority of it. So I'm just going to kind of move it in as needed. I need to turn off the angle snap though. It's quite annoying that you can't get to it from here for some reason, because it's saying I've not selected an item, but obviously we know I have selected an item. So I don't know why that's displaying like that. So this bit is just pretty much just marking it up as close as possible. I can move this section out as well. So I just want to ensure everything kind of lines up. So I'm not too bothered about it being too close to the staff path, because obviously the staff will be coming in to monitor them as well. So if we just kind of keep it on this level, we should be fine. And then if we get to there, so let's align it up with the barrier as best as possible. So I think with this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the advanced move and duplicate tool, just to be on the safe side. And then this final one, I'm going to edit the group, so I'm actually going to advanced move and duplicate this piece, just to close it off. So if we just look at the fencing as a whole, so this is the fencing I've gone for. So it's quite a bulky fence, but I think it's probably best needed for these animals. So that's where I'm going to go up to with the fencing, because obviously from here I'm just going to do some rockery and stuff. Probably going to move this out, because like I said, this was just a guideline. I'm also going to pop the fence in on here. So we're probably going to go, I think if we go from the corner here, actually it's probably going to be better, and we can make it more accurate as well. So if we just zoom in, so I just want that to be on the absolute edge, and obviously we can sink this piece of rope here into the wall as much as possible. And then same again, so I'm going to enter this group, Control X, and I'm just going to block this to about there, I think. And then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to Control X, so the angle snap is off, but I can't access it from that side, so I'm going to have to go into a construction piece and just turn it back on. So I don't know if that is a bug or not. Like I say, I'll have a recording of it, so I can pop it over to Frontier and see what they say. So I'm just going to flip that all the way around, and then we're just going to line it up very nicely. So I'm probably only going to go to there, and then thinking potentially there. Because what I'll also need to do as well is I will just need to flip it all the way around again, just so I can start off on a new bit. So it just gives a nice little bit of an opening, and then it's just a case of copy and pasting it all the way down, and then when we get to here, flipping it to a 90 degrees, and then same as before, straight in, and then let's just check. Yep, so the rope doesn't actually stick through, so that's brilliant. So So that's working as expected. So just keeping an eye on the money as well. So we don't want to spend too much. So obviously we are in franchise mode, so just need to be mindful of it. Don't need to panic too much because, like I say, we're not running too low. We'll get a pop-up when it says we're about to go broke, so we should be okay. So I'm just going to do one here and potentially one here, I think. So let me just see how far over I can get that. So I think I'm going to stick to it there. And then same again before, entering the separate group and just adding that piece there. Oh. But don't right click before you left click, because that's what will happen. Okay, so that's fine at that. And then what I'm going to have to do here is I'm just going to have to duplicate these two. So I'm going to have to merge them into a group to advance, move and duplicate. And then I should just be able to pull them all the way down. Just like that. And then I can flip them around. And I can use the end bit of the rope just as more of like a kind of end former as such for that. If you do enter the group as well, you can just select each of these items like that and just drag them straight into where you need them. So obviously I'm not going to keep that piece there like that, because that's how we're going to keep it, just like that. And then from here I just need to obviously expand down here. So what we should be able to do here actually is just advance, move and duplicate all the way down. And surprisingly that fits really, really nicely. So I'm just going to enter back into that group, Control X, and I'm just going to sink one underground as well. Okay, so I think that should be all okay. I think what I'm going to do just here is I'm just going to add these bits to potentially here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this one floating a little bit because I am going to put some rocks underneath here. So if we just go into the nature tab, and then if we filter down on, or should we use the aquatic rocks if we recolor them? Let's just try recoloring a couple of the aquatic rocks to see how they look. And I don't want them on a lined surface, so let's get rid of that. I want random rotation on. Yeah, I like that colour. We're going to stick with this actually. We're going to stick with the aquatic rocks because I think they look quite nice. I think they add quite a lot of cool texture as well, rather than using the tiger or tiger, however you say it, rocks. So let's go through, just fill it in. Just making sure it's not too samey all the way down. I know it's hard to say that because obviously there's only going to be so many rotations it can do, but I'll show you what we can also do just once I get this row in. So let's just go down quickly. So obviously it's just going to rotate the same item, so it's just a random rotation. So one rotation could be like 50 degrees, one could be 90, one could be 82, it's just completely random. As you can see here, it's just kind of flipping it. You might get two exactly the same in a row, but it's not the end of the world if you do get that. So what we can do here is just kind of play around with the height a little bit. So we can kind of go up a little bit, we can come down, we can use lower pieces here, just to give it that kind of effect. And I think here as well, I'm just going to hop in potentially with these pieces. So this is just going to give it, I'm just going to turn off these barriers as well just for the time being. So I'm just going to manually rotate that bit. I'm just going to add this just to add a little bit of texture. So then obviously when we're coming back through, if most of them are samey, what I normally do is I just kind of go through with a bigger item and just kind of, not so much cover, but kind of blend in a little bit. So just kind of like that, just seeing where potentially some of the patterns are a little bit the same. So you've got like this rock and this rock, just kind of putting it like that. And then you've got these two, which are very similar. You can just kind of do it like that. And then if you're looking from afar, it doesn't look too samey. Obviously it's going to be samey to some extent. And then I'm going to use these. I'm going to use the smaller ones for these areas actually. So just sinking them into the ground as much as possible. Just going to kind of keep them away from the path, but if they do go onto the path, it's not too much of a problem. Like I say, these are just a little bit of background, and I'm just going to put some tiny little bits of foliage in the middle. Just while I'm here, I'm not happy with that, so we're going to move that in. Then we're going to grab them again and just sink them to where we need them. So these don't matter about placement too much because we're going to cover these up. The coverage should be okay. And then I'm going to use the bigger ones here actually. Okay, so we're going to keep it at that. Obviously the Takin, not sure. I need to check the pronunciation of that because I'm not 100% sure. I'm just going to move this to here, just as a spare piece. So I always do that when I make a custom piece. I know obviously these are all separate, so I can just grab one, but I like to just keep one spare just in case I need to use it elsewhere. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to move on to the foliage. So whilst I'm doing that, I can actually pop our animals into the quarantine that we've built up here. So let's pop them in. And then because we're going to put them in straight away, we just need to amend our barriers. So we just need to make sure, so I'm just going to add a break here. Now I'm just going to probably stretch it to there, and then I'm just going to push this back just slightly like that. So when they get close to these barriers, we should be completely fine because they won't be able to get up here, and that bit there should be fine. Okay, so we've got all them bases covered, so that should be all good. And then I think what I'm going to do, probably going to flatten a bit of this terrain. So I just want to do a tiny little bit of terraforming. So we're going to turn the intensity right down. So I just want it to be kind of flatter in this area here possibly. Just kind of like this. Kind of like that I think. Let's just push it back up to where it was before. So I think just the different layers of terrain are just going to give a bit more realism, because I can add some kind of like rocks here or something. If we just kind of sink, let's get them that colour back. Just check, that's fine. So I can sink that below, and I can just kind of use it like that. So just to add a little bit of something here. Yeah, kind of make it look like the building's raised and kind of built on top of this rockery bit. And then kind of like same again here, so we can kind of lift these items, just kind of give it a tiny little bit of an edge. Then also what I can do from here is I can add some foliage around the back bit as well. So we kind of want this as to be not as much as not prohibited as such, just somewhere where you wouldn't really expect to see them standing and stuff. So let's just find the bits. So what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of finding the edges. So this, you don't need to kind of do this, it's just something that I do. So I kind of want it to have these little almost entrance ways as such. So these bits here, and then I'm going to add plants here. I think something like that's pretty cool so far. And then I'm going to go in with something like this. So these ones are probably going to be more for kind of this area. So they're just to add, because obviously I don't imagine they're going to kind of venture down into the ditch as such. So if we sink these down, possibly like here, just a bit like that, and then add a couple of bits here, just add that all the way over. So this is probably going to be a little bit more of a longer section here, so I can just raise it up in height, and then if they need to, they can kind of come around here if they need to. Can't see them having to come down here, but I'm going to add just like a little bit here, and then what I can do is I can connect that to there. And then I'm thinking, I know it's out of guest visibility, but it's not out of my visibility, so I'm going to do that bit there. And then I think I might add just a very small little pool here, just small, just like a tiny little pond, I'm thinking. Just a little bit of something. Like I say, we've got plenty of traversable area for them, so we shouldn't be too far. So if we just do same as what we did before. So I want the edges to be like that, and then I think in the middle, just to make it look like it's deeper than it is, I'm going to add soil like that, and then I'm going to turn the intensity all the way down and just flick around the edge just to give it that little bit of blending. So just like that, and then same again, I can duplicate these. Obviously we need a little bit of an access point. So if we use this section here as the access point, I can just kind of bundle a couple of rocks around here, and then I can also bundle a few here, and then I can use different types of rocks as well. So I don't want to keep the same rocks all the way around. So I think if we use this as a palette, actually, just Control D, then what we can do is we can just sync them, and we can just add a couple around the edge. Obviously we don't need to go too crazy, but we can just add a couple of rocks here, there and everywhere, just to add that effect where we've just got a couple excess rocks from construction or something. Just kind of sync them, possibly here. Gonna add more here actually, because we don't kind of want them to walk along that bit. Same with this bit. You can just add more just around the edges. Just kind of carelessly throwing these bits in. And maybe just add in a little bit of detail there. Just a couple of standalone rocks here as well. Maybe a couple here as well. So I'm just poking them out the ground, just tiny little bits. So if we exit the group now, it should look something like that. So it looks a little bit more kind of Arctic tundra style now. So now that we've pretty much got the landscaping sorted as I want it, we can kind of go through and just add a lot of foliage now. So let me just check, because I think the animal alerts they've been disabled again. That's fine. This happens every episode. I'm not sure why, but I need to remember to come in and actually turn these back on. I always forget where they are actually. Where are they? There we are. Right, I'm just going to save it as well, because I don't know if that makes any difference, but every time they're not happy with it at all. So that's that. Okay, so I'm not going to add too much foliage in this, because I want it to be more of like a barren kind of landscape. So what I want to do is I want to use the buffalo grass quite a lot. So I'm probably going to sink a lot of this into the ground. So we're probably going to use it in these kind of areas like that, just to add a little bit more texture throughout the rocks, and also here as well. So I want it to look a little bit kind of overgrown around these areas. So if we just sink just going to use a smaller piece here, just so I can get in to the nuts and crannies. So keeping random rotation on as well. I want to use the other pieces as well, just to add a little bit of colour in between. Okay, so they have arrived in the zoo. They're already exploring, so that's pretty cool. So let me just check there's no escapable points. Right, that's brilliant. So they can access everywhere. They can even access these little pens that I've made as well, so that is amazing. I love that. So we're going to pause now. And I want to have a close-up, because I've not actually seen these before. Oh, they're pretty cool. It kind of looks like a mix between potentially a moose and kind of like a bison or something. It's kind of got like the tallness of a moose, obviously not as tall because they're absolutely massive and scary, but it's also kind of got like the bison head and kind of bulkiness. Pretty cool animal, quite like them. So we've got plenty of space. We could really divide this probably from here in two and have two separate animals at some point, but I'm not feeling doing that, so we're just going to stick with what we have already. So finishing off with the buffalo grass as well. So like I say, I'm just literally just sinking that into the ground. Just want to make it look like it is just popping out in random places. I don't want it to be too clinical. It's just going to be very kind of messy. Probably more in the areas that the Takins won't go to. So kind of like this. Obviously with these kind of bits we're probably going to struggle a little bit because it's on a slope, but we can make it work. So we'll probably just have to use the corner piece, just like that. Then same again. So again, just lifting it up and just kind of using the corners and sinking it back down. And then just pretty much copy in. We should be okay here because this is quite flat actually. And then just to keep it different, I'm just going to sprinkle these in between. Same again up here. Just going to kind of overlay, not too much, but just kind of like that. And just like that. And I might add some kind of thicker bits here, so something like that. So I think some bushes as well would be quite cool in here, so let's just filter on the biome. So let's see if we've got any cool kind of bushes. We could potentially use some of these as well to give it that added effect of it being quite a barren area. So we can kind of make it look like some trees have been cut down and stuff to make way for this habitat. Obviously ethically, not just carelessly cutting trees down. Let's add potentially this here, I think. And then what we could do as well, we could actually add some trees outside of the enclosure. So I quite like the look of these ones. And then I want like a compact kind of bush just to sink underground. I don't want something too crazy. Monkey puzzle tree, no. These, if they've got one, this might be perfect. There we go. Yep, that's perfect. That's exactly what I was kind of looking for, something like this. And then might add one here, I think. Corner out of the way, and then I might also add one just down here, and then we probably need some kind of greenery here, I think. Let's just make this area here like a little bush area. then I think possibly here, maybe to add a couple of bits, and then I think here, just around the edge, just a few little details, just like that. And I feel like I need something like just a little tree of some sort here. No, they're massive, we're not using that. I'm going to use those either Scots pine. Let's just see what that looks like. That could work actually, to be fair. Let's just play around with the angles a bit. Stick with that one. And then we can also plant a couple of these saplings around as well. So just to kind of make it look like they've planted a couple and they want to kind of rewild this area. Probably just add one on the edge here, and then potentially one, maybe a sunken down one here, like that. Okay, so the landscaping looks okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some paste marks. So we need some rock in here as well. So I'm going to add that probably here and all down here. So this is all going to be rock down here. So we've got the intensity on 20%. We need it quite low for this bit because we're only doing it very lightly. We don't want it to be too rough. And then I'm also going to add rock to some bits up here as well, just to give it a little bit more texture. And then also as well, we don't want to ruin the kind of texture of the outside. You can just cover the bits that aren't seen to guests. That's something that I do quite often as well. If it needs a lot more soil than you want to add, just add it under the buildings or something. That's what I tend to do. And then just lightening this bit here. So I'm just changing these bits to soil. And then I'm going to drop that down to 2. And then we're just going to make it look like they kind of move this way. And then they potentially go up here. And then they can also go this way as well. So we will just refine these with the grass tool. Just for now. If we set that to 1, we can just refine that. We'll need the intensity up a little bit higher though. So it's a bit awkward to kind of make these in game. But what I do is I just use the thinner grass tool and just kind of make it look a little bit more realistic as such. Just kind of like that. And I'm going to cut through. I think I'm going to cut on the top as well. And then we should be able to use the right tool. Should be able to add back in as well if we need to. And I'm just going to use the longer grass piece here, and possibly here as well. And then I think same again here. So just using the longer grass piece, just like that. And then I'm just going to go along the edge and just kind of smoothen that bit out as well. So just like that, that's just how I create the kind of pasting lines for the animals, just to make them look a little bit more realistic. I know it's not the most realistic that you've probably seen, but it's effective and it works. So just going to add some more long grass here because it's just adds a bit more texture just around the rocks. Same again here. Just some more long grass. More long grass around here. More long grass in here. Same again all the way down. Just around these edges here. So they just kind of blend in nicely as well. Long grass in these bits. Long grass here. Long grass around the edge. Okay, so let's just have a look at that from afar and see, just kind of see what it's looking like. Okay, I think that's looking pretty much where I wanted to take it. So far I think that's all good. I just need to finish off the habitat itself. I think this fencing works quite well actually, to be fair. Quite like the effect that's given. So for now, just so I can finish off their kind of hard shelter, I'm just going to add a plaster floor piece to the top of the grid, just so we can count towards their enrichment. Because I want to have a skylight in this section. So this bit here is going to be covered with glass. All of the staff area, we could have a skylight here actually. So have a skylight, and then we're going to add a skylight here as well. So just like that for the time being. Obviously we're going to spice this up a little bit, but I just wanted to get the hard shelter in. So let's just add base for the skylight. So I think if we do it in that kind of green colour, I think that'll work quite well. Or should we stick with black? Let's have a look. Yeah, we'll stick with black. It looks better. Okay, so we'll go with that for the time being. And then obviously what I want to do in time is I want to do some kind of cool edges, and I want to make like kind of a little balcony, not balcony, veranda as such for them. So let's just unpause that, and then let's just see how they are getting on. So just make sure they can still traverse all the areas, that's fine. So hopefully these guys will breed and we will have a lot more. So we've got plenty of space for them, we've got more than enough space, so we could have quite a few more if we really wanted to. So enrichment, so let's have a look at their enrichment items. Okay, so pretty standard for this kind of animal. So the herb scent marker, we're just going to add these into places where we want them to kind of visit. So I'm going to pop these along the front here, and possibly one here as well. So they will flatten the terrain around, but it's not too much of a problem. I think if we probably add one here as well, I think, and that should be fine. So the food trough. So I'm thinking of adding this. Possibly, let's do medium ones actually. Let's add one here. Scrap that. If we sink that down slightly, we shouldn't have that problem. There we go, that's fine. There we go. So that's how you fix that if you ever have a problem where the terrain is popping up against. You should be able to fix it doing that. Okay, so water pipe, we're going to add one indoors, just because we haven't got any of these already, so we're just going to pop one indoors. I know we've got the little lake on the outside. I just need to add a filter, a water treatment centre closer as well, just to make sure that the Takins can actually use that water. So I'm just going to sink that down very slightly. So that should be fine. They're probably not actually going to be able to use the two side pieces. Let's see how far back we can get it. About there. That should be fine. Let's just check on the traversable area actually. That's fine, they can still access that. So that's not too bad. Okay, so let's just come out of here. So popping back into force mode. So I'm going to add the medium bed in, potentially, no, let's go with the large. I'm just going to sink it down a little bit as well, just like before, because I don't want the terrain to pop up through. So just in these little pods that we've made them. Just going to add a little bit of bedding. Got plenty of options on where to sleep. If any of them ever falling out, they can stay on separate sides. Okay, so we've also got random rotation on as well, just to make it look different on each bay. I don't want it to be too close to this thing that we've made. Okay, so let me just check on their enrichment. So their enrichment's going up slowly, so they need some food enrichment. So I think if we add the... This is just going to end up down here, I know for a fact. So I think if we add it in here, we can potentially get away with that, because they're probably just going to stand here and do it rather than pushing it all the way down. We can probably also put one of these in the tree, so we can kind of stick it out like that, and then we can probably do the same here as well. So we can do that like that, and then that should be plenty of enrichment for them. It's a scarecrow feed, I've never used that before. No, I'm not using that because that's absolutely petrifying. And then we're going to use the barrel feeder, but I'm going to put that here, I think. So I'm just going to sink that down. I'm probably going to add one there as well, actually. So their enrichment should go to 100. Okay, so before we hop on to the names as well, so I have a couple of names for the raccoons. So if we just hop over to the raccoon habitat. So we've had a couple of suggestions, which is amazing, and we've got a hell of a lot of raccoons now, so I need to work out which ones are going to be best to name. So let me just come out and have a look. So we've got so many. So we're going to have to name probably the best ones. So the first name that I got was from Keith Mercer, so let's rename one of them Rocket. So I think if we're sticking with the theme, we need to do some tidying up in here actually. Let's just do the tidying up before we go ahead and rename. So we're going to get rid of Caprice and Zane, and they've had plenty of babies. Have they had any melanistic ones yet? No, they haven't. That's fine. Let's release those two to the wild. And then I'm going to apply the contraceptives. So let's just make sure that the one's gone boxed up. So that's Bob. Where is the other one? This one. So we're going to call this one Rocket. And then we also had two suggestions from Sparrow. So if we rename Maya, so we're going to rename Maya to Bandit. I can spell that right. And then we are going to rename the other one here to Scout. So we're changing his name from Yeoman to Scout. Not Scouty, Scout. Okay, so they're the three suggestions that I got. We've got a couple more. We've got quite a few more that do need names now, but they're probably going to get released at some point, so we'll probably just leave it at that. And then same again for the Takins, we're going to need some names for those as well. So we've only got 5, so it's not too many names to come up with, but any name suggestions, just let me know and I can pop them in. So let's just claim this reward as well. So that's an extra £1,000, that's good. Information profits. So we're almost there, and we need to do some exhibit species, but we're not going to do that in this episode, we'll probably do that in the next one. I also wanted to mention as well, I do have a Discord server now as well. So I'll pop the link to that down below. It's not too lively just yet, I'm still figuring Discord out, but hoping to get it up and running properly as soon as possible. There's plenty of different sections to pop inspiration, builds and all sorts in. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this one here, because we've still got quite a lot of work to do on the building, and we're probably going to do that in the next one. So I'm going to leave that. This roof here is only temporary, I'm choosing the plaster as a placeholder. So I'll leave this one here. If you have enjoyed it, drop a comment and like down below. Subscribe to keep in line with this series as well, because it's going to be quite a fun one. and any name suggestions, pop them down below, and then all the links to my social medias are down below as well. Cheers guys, thank you.